you're a movement coach, obviously.
Yep.
There's so many different types of movement. You're generally not static when you're moving. It's not like really static. So I was just wondering. It's a weird question, so answer it as you will. But what's your views on like stuff like this static, like yoga movements, stuff like that? What's your kind of views and opinions on that?
Um, I think yoga's brilliant. I think it has lots of kind of introspective. Uh, it has a lot of potential for introspection. It's a little bit like that Karate Kid sometimes, wax on, wax off. You kind of sit in there and you're repeating the same stuff over and over and over. But every time you're having to work some detail about it, and you're having to to work with yourself not to start feeling like your mind's wandering. You've got to stay focused. There's a meditative aspect to doing similar stuff over and over. You could argue that yoga classes, some yoga styles are just doing the same sequence every single time. It's like you're just going to walk into that room, you've paid someone to take you through the same sequence over and over. And I think there is something to that. Yeah, I think it is meditative almost. You almost it can allow you to get into that kind of trance-like state. Like when people say they get runner's high, they're
Like I
just
suppose,
running. Yeah, it's just doing the same thing. I don't think yoga is exactly the same. Um, you know, I might get scorned by yogis if I make that exact comparison. I'm not entirely sure it's the same thing, but it's something along those lines. If you know the sequence, you know where it's going. Um, and if you find yourself, drifting and wandering, you've got to get yourself back in that room somehow. And I think that practice is quite interesting. From a physical standpoint, yoga has no pulling, so that's my main gripe with it. You never pull anything. You're just always pushing against the floor. So from a physical standpoint, that's my main gripe with yoga. But
that's what my similar gripe was.
yeah,
That's what you called it. That's what I noticed, because when I first got into movement, I was doing yoga. I still do it actually. I still
yeah,
follow routines and stuff like that. But yeah, that was one of my little issues with it. I don't know if there's completely no pulling. I don't know, but I found every routine I done, it was mainly pushing.
yeah. The 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 only pulling you'll really do is if you have to grab your leg and pull your leg in to do something.
Mm.
It's completely and utterly not nowhere near enough. It's just not even close to you know. You couldn't seriously, anyone worth their salt couldn't seriously argue that yoga has sufficient pulling.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there are some very, very limited pulling motions in it. Yeah, I think, it is, you're going through poses and it is slightly more static than gymnastics or dance for sure. Yeah, perhaps I'm not entirely sure, but perhaps it suits a particular type of personality more as well. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was, as I said, that was one of my main issues, was there wasn't enough pulling for me, because one of my rules or philosophies, whatever you say it, at this stage is for every pushing motion, I want to do a pulling motion,
Yeah.
just so I don't become uneven, if that's what you want to call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. For sure. There are huge imbalances
Yeah.
with doing a very singular practice. Yeah, for sure.